I'm just going to fit the rear sprocket to the wheel, and to do that you've got two rubber dampers, one of them already on as you can see there, with a slot cut in it to fit around the spindle inside the forks, and one exactly the same which fits outside the forks. The sprocket then goes onto there, and then we have 9 bolts with a spring washer, flat washer and a locking nut, which feed through from the rear using these metal spaces, which fit behind the rubber damper and bolt through, and then bolt through at the sprocket side there. Okay guys, bit of an update since the last video showing the fitment of the rear sprocket onto the wheel. In the last video I had the wheel off the bike ready in preparation to fit the sprocket, and I was showing you the component parts. Now this is fitted up. Just a couple of little bits to explain about this. Originally I had the bolts fed through from the back, coming through with the nuts fastened onto this side. The problem then became apparent that the studs came out further, as you can probably see just in there, they stick out quite a way. They came out further than the actual spindle where it bolts onto the bike frame, so essentially I had to undo them all, whip them back in and bolt them through the other way. So something to watch out for when you build your own. Also this spindle self-centralizes to a degree. Just make a note also it's fitted dished side inwards to make sure that it aligns correctly in the frame. I had to re-bolt that in the other way around, and it was just as described before: metal plate, rubber spacer either side of the spokes, and then this here. And you can actually add an extra metal spacer if you need to kick this out a little bit more. Although on this one it seems to be fine, so I've no need to do that. You can see obviously since then I've put the wheel back in the bike, and we've got the chain fitted. Now fitting the chain is a case of undoing these 3 bolts, lifting this off, unhooking the lever, and then feed the chain on, and using this tool which is supplied with the kit, spark plug spanner on one end and a small 10mm type box spanner on the other. This also fits this nut here on the crank, and you can turn that and wind the chain round. You need to do that because the clearance is so narrow you can't actually just feed it over, so you need to hook it on and wind it round until you've got enough chain round here to fit it. What I then had to do is fit it up and see what I needed to remove links wise, as I suspected I would have to, and indeed I did. I had to remove 10 links. Now obviously the engine's all in and the exhaust you've seen before. A little amendment to the CDI. Now I was originally, if you can remember, going to mount it up here with the lead going across here. The problem was then, and I would have needed to run some extra wires down here to go to the wires out of the engine to fit it all together, and it's just going to be a bit of a pain in the backside. And extra wires when you've got a system that's not powered by a battery can be a real nuisance as regards sapping the power with an internal resistance in the wire. So, and the fact that I'm bloody lazy as well. But by the by, so I decided what I would do is refit it to the frame at the front as per the original instructions, but because I wasn't able to use the bolts and the clamp, it just occurred to me that I could use a zip tie. So I've got a rubber strip there, backing strip to keep it nice and firm, and a zip tie, and it's just snugged really tight on there. I've then got the kill switch wire coming down here, and all of the wires, if I can just show you that, all connected into here. The kill switch one bolted onto the frame, and then the extra wire into the blue, and then the bullet connectors plugged together from the engine. The white wire currently is just coiled up because I'm thinking I might actually use that for a light at some point. The carburettor, let's move around here. The carburettor, obviously you saw fitted before. What I've now done is routed the cable, and the same with the clutch cable. It's not the neatest in the world, but it does the job, gets it out of the way, tidies it up a little bit, and keeps it tucked up and out of harm's way. So that's tied to the frame with cable ties. plain and simple, straightforward. Unfortunately I only had these white ones, which is a bit of a nuisance. Black ones would have been a little bit better, a bit neater I think, but hey, you just got to work with what you have. The fuel tank is fitted. Now I had another little hiccup with the fuel tank. I'd tried making a spacer to go under here because of these cables running along the top, which wasn't very successful. So what I wound up doing was actually drilling and tapping the top and putting a bolt through, which actually was one of the spare bolts that came with the engine mounting plate, which you can use down here on this front mount if you don't mount it around the bar as I have done. So I drilled and tapped that, put the bolt in with some thread lock so it protruded with these cables running either side underneath the bolt head, if you can kind of visualise that. I actually pinched that idea from another video I saw, and I would credit the owners of that video, but for the fact I can't honestly remember what it was, where I saw it, and I've searched and searched and I can't find the damn thing again typically. But if anybody sees that, I'll be happy to add that in the description. So yeah, it's quite a quick and simple and easy fix, certainly a lot less fanning about than the instructions where it shows you using the moulding putty and a piece of metal and all the rest of it. So that's bolted on nice and tight. The petcock is simply screwed in with the gasket. I've also used a bit of PTFE tape. Switch it down for on, switch it up in the middle for off. We've got the clear plastic pipe that comes with the kit, which will certainly be sufficient for now. Goes down to a filter, standard filter you get from any auto parts store. I did actually have one supplied from, came from the suppliers, but that broke as I actually fitted it, cracked around the top there. So I just replaced it with one that a spare one that I had in the shed from an auto suppliers, and down to the carb feed down here. Fitted the chain guard yet, and that's something I will do as and when I've got a moment. I've had to slightly modify this mudguard, as you can see, and cut a chunk out there because the chain was just clipping the edge of it. Not so much that it would have done any damage, it was just an occasional clip, but it was annoying me, so I just snipped that out there, and it will still perform admirably as a mudguard, but without the chain snagging on. The chain, obviously you can see, has a run down there, and then I've fitted the tensioner. Now this, what I've done is as you can see, I've added tape quite a way along the this bar here, and this allows you to move the tensioner back and forth to give you a much bigger degree of adjustment. I don't know if you can see the tension in there, but that's pretty much guesswork, but that's not too dissimilar to what you'd have on a motorbike chain, so I'm going to work with that at the moment and see how it goes. I've set up the carburettor and adjusted it to give ideal free play and make sure that the slide has full movement. So all I really need to do now is get some petrol and a half decent day's weather and get this out and get it fired up and see how it goes. So that's pretty much the kit altogether. Thanks for watching this series of videos so far, and I hope you've enjoyed them. Bye for now.